Welcome to Hollywood Today. Here's what's making headlines right now. Today, a move from Montecito's legal team has sparked a heated constitutional debate. Not about war or trade, but over a 4-page application to renew 2 British passports. The names on those forms? Archie Harrison Mountbatten-Windsor and Lilibet Diana Mountbatten-Windsor. Meghan Markle's lawyers are said to be managing the process, with Prince Harry fully backing it. Officials say what seems like a routine filing has suddenly taken on serious significance for the monarchy. A formal request was submitted this week to the Passport Office and the Privy Council, and one particular clause has raised eyebrows. It calls for the HRH, His or Her Royal Highness, to be added to the children's passports just ahead of a planned private trip to Australia in April. Sources say tensions are escalating behind palace walls. Meghan's legal team has issued a firm ultimatum, urging Princess and, who oversees royal titles and protocol alongside the Royal Council, to resolve what they describe as an administrative oversight by March 29. The Sussex team is taking a strong stance. They've warned the palace, citing obstruction and harassment, arguing that denying the HRH designation places the king's grandchildren at risk. Their position is calculated and clear. They claim HRH status is a birthright safeguard, one that preserves the children's ability to choose their future. According to their argument, those 3 letters could allow them, one day, to either take on royal duties or live as globally recognized, protected individuals. The palace response, however, came quickly and decisively. Under King Charles III and Prince William, Princess and reportedly intervened with a direct message. She raised concerns about the real-world consequences of granting HRH status, especially with the April Australia trip on the horizon. If the children travel with royal titles, it could activate major state-level responsibilities. This includes high-tier security arrangements such as continuous, 24/7 armed protection provided by the Australian Federal Police, funded by taxpayers. It may also involve diplomatic privileges like expedited airport clearance through the Royal Gate and bypassing standard customs procedures. In addition, there could be state-supported logistics, including official motorcades and secure, government-approved accommodations. Princess and is also said to have highlighted another issue, the Sussex Healing Retreat, planned in Australia. While it's presented as a charitable initiative, palace insiders point to premium ticket pricing, luxury accommodation demands, and what appears to be a clearly commercial structure. One source close to and reportedly stated, to demand the privileges of a sovereign's representative for what is essentially a paid entry tour is not just a breach of protocol. It undermines the integrity of the crown. The palace also rejected claims of inconsistency. The Sussex side referenced the 2021 update to Archie's birth record, but Anne's position reframes that entirely. Officials insist the change was made purely for accuracy, not to grant any special status or privileges. The message from the palace remains firm. After stepping back from official royal duties, the principle stands, no official role, no HRH. Even though the children's titles were acknowledged in 2023, the stance on HRH status has not shifted as the March 29 deadline approaches. As that deadline draws closer, tensions are intensifying. Reports from Montecito suggest a growing divide within the Sussex household itself. Meghan is seen as driving the legal effort, while Prince Harry is reportedly caught in a deep internal struggle. He's balancing fears rooted in his mother's past and concerns over security, while also facing the emotional weight of opposing his own family. Sources claim Meghan views the HRH designation as central to shaping the children's future image, while Harry remains focused primarily on their safety. However, there's increasing concern that these assertive tactics could make any future reconciliation with Prince William far more difficult. At the same time, Princess Anne made a subtle but strategic point by praising Prince Edward and Sophie. Their children, despite being entitled to royal titles, were raised with independence and humility, without relying on HRH status. The contrast sends a clear message. One path emphasizes duty and modesty. The other path raises deeper questions about relying on royal status in today's modern world. As of March 27, 2026, the palace remains firm in its position. King Charles and Prince William are signaling clearly. They will not be swayed by legal pressure or public campaigns. The HRH title is not automatic. It is a privilege granted by the sovereign to those actively performing official royal duties. At this point, that door isn't just closed. It's firmly locked within a system designed to protect the monarchy from external agendas. So the key question lingers. Will the palace stoop before March 29th? All indications suggest the answer is no. Archie and Lilibet now face a complex reality shaped by their parents' choices. Holding titles in name, yet remaining distant from the day-to-day workings of the royal institution. In Santa Barbara, the atmosphere is described as steady but quietly defiant. This issue goes beyond titles. It ties directly into larger plans already underway. The upcoming Australia trip is drawing intense scrutiny, along with Meghan's expanding business ventures. By March 2026, her lifestyle brand has evolved into a significant commercial enterprise, far beyond its initial promotional phase. However, critics argue that much of its appeal leans heavily on royal association. Premium products, ranging from organic jams to home goods and wellness kits, are marketed at high-end prices, all connected to a sense of royal identity. Some observers believe that without the HRH designation tied to the children, that image could quickly lose its strength, recasting them as high-profile celebrities in an already saturated market. Instead of royal heirs, they risk being seen as figures distanced from a centuries-old institution, a narrative that quickly captures global attention. Now, the April Australia trip has become the central point of pressure. Promoted as a private healing and meditation retreat, the event is already raising concerns within Buckingham Palace. Reports suggest VVIP tickets priced above $5,000 offer exclusive access to sessions led by Meghan herself. There are also questions surrounding how the event is being presented. Certain promotional materials appear to hint at a royal-style engagement, leaving Australian officials uncertain about the level of involvement or support expected from them. Behind the scenes, additional reports point to high-end requirements, including full 5-star accommodations for the team. At the same time, there are suggestions that efforts were made to secure benefits typically associated with royal status. Princess Anne is said to have taken a firm position, reportedly describing the tour as a commercial spectacle. She emphasized that official royal tours are publicly funded and centered on diplomacy, not profit. This brings everything back to the central issue, the HRH passport designation before April, and what it could potentially unlock on a global level. At the core of the matter is visa classification and something known as internationally protected person status. If Archie and Lilibet travel with HRH on their passports, they could be treated as state-linked individuals, triggering significant obligations for the host nation. That could include diplomatic-style handling, no waiting in queues, no standard baggage checks, and extensive security coverage. The Australian Federal Police might be required to provide motorcades, close protection, and full perimeter security, services that would otherwise come at a substantial private cost. In a recent Royal Council discussion, Princess Anne reportedly drew a pointed comparison between the Sussex family and Prince Edward's household. She stressed that titles carry responsibility, not entitlement to luxury. The Edinburgh children were raised with grounded values, following independent paths while supporting the monarchy without relying on special privileges. That contrast is becoming increasingly noticeable. Meanwhile, Meghan's team continues to cite the 2021 birth record update as precedent. But King Charles and Prince William have firmly rejected that argument, stating the change was made purely for historical accuracy, not to create entitlement or extend privileges, and certainly not for commercial use. And that is where the line remains clearly drawn. By 2026, the Crown's position is unwavering. The presence of a title on an official record does not grant permission to use it as leverage for business ventures today. As of March 27, the passport dispute has reached a complete deadlock. The palace's message is straightforward. Travel as private individuals, handle your own security, and promote any ventures under your personal names, but do not expect royal endorsement for a paid retreat. The divide is no longer subtle. It's clear and fully in place. While a media-driven image can build influence, it cannot compel official royal backing or protection. With the March 29 deadline rapidly approaching, the tone within the British establishment has shifted noticeably. What began as frustration is now evolving into firm legal positioning. Behind closed doors, discussions are accelerating. While legal pressure over the HRH title continues, a far larger response is quietly taking form. This moment is being described as a turning point, a full separation between the Sussex side and the formal structure of the monarchy. New legislative measures are already being drafted as tensions reach their peak. although the public catalyst for this proposed bill was the legal fallout involving Andrew Mountbatten Windsor in February 2026. Insiders suggest it also carries a more targeted implication toward the Montecito camp. Under Prime Minister Keir Starmer, and in coordination with Commonwealth nations such as Australia and Canada, a major policy shift is now being shaped. At the center of it is a new requirement: active service. Anyone in the line of succession may need to live within the UK or its territories and serve as a working royal, or remain directly dependent on someone who does, in order to retain their position. The implications are significant. For Archie and Lilibet, who are currently in the line of succession, this could be a defining change. Being raised in the United States and linked to private ventures could place them into an entirely different category. Sources describe this as a decisive legal pivot, one that could fundamentally redraw the rules. Princess Anne is reportedly playing a key role in shaping this strategy, with the Australia retreat cited as a central example. In private discussions, concerns have been raised about the use of royal identity in commercial contexts, while simultaneously seeking official protections. That contradiction is now driving one of the most serious shifts in royal policy in recent years. According to a source close to Princess Anne, the push for HRH status, particularly in connection with the Australia trip, may have backfired for Meghan and Harry. Rather than strengthening their position, it may have provided officials with a clear basis to reconsider their standing within the line of succession. The argument being put forward is direct. If titles are being used in connection with private business ventures, they no longer serve a state function. And without a state role, the justification for remaining in the succession begins to weaken rapidly. On March 23, 2026, a key ruling added further pressure. The executive committee responsible for the protection of royalty and public figures determined that inactive HRH styles cannot be used officially on travel documents. Without that designation, Archie and Lilibet are considered high-profile private individuals. This means no automatic public funding, no taxpayer-supported security, and full responsibility placed on private arrangements. For the Australia trip, this changes everything. Security, logistics, and risk management now fall entirely under private control, with no special legal exemptions beyond standard procedures. At the same time, Princess Anne has continued to highlight the Edinburgh family as a model, emphasizing duty, privacy, and a life built without reliance on elevated royal privilege. Despite being grandchildren of the late Queen, they were raised without depending on HRH status, pursuing education and careers independently without expecting state-backed protection or special treatment. Her message remains clear and firm. True royalty is defined by service, not by the advantages that can be claimed through a title or a passport. As of March 27, pressure within Montecito is reportedly intensifying. Prince Harry is said to be confronting a difficult realization: that his children could become the first close royal descendants in modern history to lose their place in the line of succession through legal reform. Sources say this situation has left him deeply uneasy about what lies ahead for his children, caught between intense public attention and limited institutional backing. Meanwhile, Meghan is understood to hold a very different perspective. Reports indicate she views the HRH issue as something tied to long-term identity and public positioning, not just security concerns. From her side, the palace's refusal is seen as a significant form of exclusion with lasting consequences. Her legal team is reportedly preparing a strong response if the March 29 deadline passes without resolution. At this point, the conflict has moved well beyond a simple passport matter. It is now being seen as a defining moment for the monarchy under King Charles III and Prince William. As the April trip draws closer, one thing is becoming increasingly clear. Archie and Lilibet are expected to travel as members of a high-profile family, not as official representatives of the king. The separation is no longer subtle. Palace doors appear firmly closed, with no indication of a shift in Prince William's long-term vision for the monarchy. The possibility of HRH status in this context is fading quickly, and the divide between both sides is now unfolding in an entirely different space: global business. While Meghan's team continues pressing the passport issue, Prince William and Princess Catherine are advancing in their own direction. Behind the scenes, a new strategy is emerging, one focused on influence through official royal channels. King Charles III has now entrusted William with a significant authority tied to royal warrants, giving him the power to formally recognize and support selected businesses. In branding terms, that kind of endorsement carries substantial influence. It creates a sharp contrast. One side building independent ventures, the other strengthening official royal backing through established, traditional systems. The difference is becoming increasingly difficult to ignore. On one side, a royal warrant granted by Prince William represents a powerful, state-backed mark of approval rooted in tradition and government support. On the other, products from Meghan's lifestyle brand are being viewed by some retailers as celebrity-driven offerings without formal royal endorsement. That gap is placing considerable pressure on the Sussex operation. Another major development came earlier this month. Netflix confirmed it is no longer connected to Meghan's lifestyle venture, leaving the brand entirely independent. This shift raises the stakes significantly. Without institutional backing, the business must now compete on its own in an already crowded marketplace. This is why the HRH issue is being seen by some as crucial. Without that connection, the brand risks blending into a broader wave of influencer-led products competing for visibility. The contrast in public positioning is also becoming more apparent. On the official royal website, the children remain listed in the line of succession, but with minimal detail and no HRH styling. Meanwhile, Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis are being clearly presented as the active future of the monarchy, highlighting a distinct divide in focus and representation. From Meghan's side, the argument remains firm. They believe that denying HRH status on travel documents removes the children's royal standing far too early. In their view, it reshapes their identity before they've even had the chance to choose their path. Princess Anne, however, is said to be holding her ground. She has reportedly advised the king to respond to the March 29th deadline with a clear and final refusal. Her position is rooted in a strict interpretation of duty. Titles are not meant for display or promotion, but for service and responsibility. She has also pointed to the royal calendar ahead. The garden party season begins on May 6th, the same day as Archie's birthday. While a private celebration may take place overseas, the king will be hosting a major public event at Buckingham Palace honoring national service. The timing sends a deliberate and unmistakable message. As the deadline approaches, this situation has evolved into a defining test of the monarchy's future direction. If King Charles gives in, it could weaken the structure he is trying to preserve. If he stands firm, it may push the conflict even further. But for Prince William, reports suggest the decision is already settled, pointing toward a more tightly structured and carefully controlled monarchy in the years ahead. There will be no half-in, half-out model, only full commitment to the institution. As attention shifts toward Australia, the conversation there is rapidly evolving, from curiosity into serious national debate. While legal tensions continue in the UK, the real-world impact is now playing out across the Commonwealth. The April retreat is no longer being viewed as just a business event. Instead, it's becoming a test of what royal titles truly represent when they are not backed by official authority. As of March 27th, one of the most significant developments is the firm position taken by Australian authorities. Both the Prime Minister's Department and Home Affairs have released aligned statements distancing themselves from the visit. They made it clear, the trip is a private commercial venture, with no government involvement in planning, funding, or hosting. That clarification changes the entire picture. Without official backing, there will be no formal reception, no state-level meetings, and no publicly funded security. The absence of these elements underscores the limitations of operating outside royal endorsement. At the same time, reports of internal brand valuations and technical challenges have added further pressure behind the scenes. All of this is turning the trip into a high-stakes moment, drawing intense global attention. But the leak revealed something even more significant, a high-risk internal memo. It indicated that the brand's valuation is heavily tied to the royal image associated with the children. Princess Anne is said to have used this point to reinforce her firm stance. Her argument is straightforward. Public resources should not be used to support what is, in essence, a private commercial enterprise. One insider summarized it bluntly. Asking taxpayers to fund security for an event where tickets cost thousands raises serious concerns. Meanwhile, major developments are unfolding in London. The proposed Succession Amendment Bill 2026 is progressing quickly, with strong signals from the government that action is necessary. While the bill is broadly linked to wider royal matters, new conditions, such as active service and UK residency, could reshape how succession is defined. For Archie and Lilibet, this could result in a very different future within the royal structure. The conversation is shifting rapidly, and the implications are significant. Public reaction is also intensifying. In Australia, a petition calling for no taxpayer support or official involvement in the visit is gaining traction, adding further pressure to an already complex situation. The petition has now surpassed 36,000 signatures, and public response has been notably strong. Comment sections across major Australian news platforms became so heated this week that moderators were forced to shut them down entirely, something rarely seen in royal coverage. The Sussex team has attempted to counter the narrative, describing the petition as misleading and maintaining that the trip is privately funded. However, the shift in public sentiment is unmistakable. The warm reception seen in 2018 has now been replaced with intense scrutiny. As the March 29 deadline approaches, the palace position remains firm and unchanged. King Charles III and Prince William are sending a clear message. If the chosen path is private enterprise, it comes without official royal protection. Archie and Lilibet, growing up far removed from the day-to-day workings of the monarchy, now find themselves at the center of this broader shift. Their titles are being interpreted very differently depending on perspective, adding further tension around their future roles. As the April trip draws closer, global attention continues to build. What began as a legal disagreement has now expanded into something far more significant. By the end of this week, the issue has moved beyond negotiation and into a defining institutional moment, with new internal discussions continuing behind closed doors. Reportedly developed in consultation with Princess Anne, a key memo has outlined the legal basis for the palace's refusal. The argument is clear. Passports are state documents, and HRH status requires active service to the crown. Since the children are not carrying out official royal duties, the government cannot assign that status for travel purposes. Officials maintain that this decision is based on legal principles, not personal conflict. As reports of $5,000 retreat tickets continue to circulate, criticism has grown stronger. Comparisons with the Edinburgh family highlight a sharply different approach. One focused on privacy, grounded values, and no reliance on special privileges. With new legislation on the horizon, the stakes are rising quickly. The children's future role within the royal framework is now increasingly uncertain. Prince William's stance remains firm and consistent: no duty, no privilege. Meanwhile, the situation continues to draw close attention around the world. If you've been following this story, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe for more updates. Stay tuned for the next major developments in this unfolding story.